guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and in this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you how to make eggplant meatballs. They are really delicious. My dad's been sending me text messages of his eggplant meatballs and telling me that I have to share them with you. So since we have our garden this year, it's overrun with an abundance of eggplant. My daughter goes out with my husband every day and picks fresh eggplant every day. I figured there's no better time than now to share with you how to make them. They are very easy and simple. There's a million recipes on the web for how to make them, and I just want to show you how to make them super straightforward and easy, but so delicious. You're gonna love them. So I've got a large saucepan here. This is the pan that I'm gonna make my sauce in, so I don't want to dirty up two pans, but you can also do this is a skillet, sorry. You can also do this step in like a large saucepan. I just have a little bit of olive oil in here, coming up to temperature, about medium high. Now for the eggplant, you want to make sure there are some pieces with seeds in them, but if any eggplant had a lot of seeds in them, I removed the core because otherwise the seeds make everything really bitter and then they never soften. So you just kind of always get them in your mouth and they annoy me. And you just want to cut them into about a small cube. I peeled most of the eggplant, but I left a little bit of the skin on some of the eggplant just because I like it, but you can peel it all or you can leave it all on. Totally up to you. In the skillet, I'm going to add the eggplant. I have that, like I said, with just a little bit of olive oil because we need to cook this down until it's nice and soft. I'm just going to mix that around with my wooden spoon. And you can also do this in the oven. I've seen a few recipes of people doing that where they basically like bake the entire eggplant in the oven. And then you just take out the flesh and use that to make the meatballs. And I think that's a great idea. I don't prefer doing it that way because, again, you get a lot of the seeds and just not my favorite. But you can do whatever you like. So what I'm going to do now, you're not looking to saute this and develop color or anything like that. It's absorbed a little bit of the oil, so it's got a little bit of flavor. You need some salt to help draw out the moisture. And now you're going to add a little bit of water, about a quarter cup. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this and cook the eggplant for about 15-ish minutes or until it's really soft. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. If your eggplant mixture has too much liquid, the last 5 minutes cook it on medium-high so that that water and that liquid can evaporate. And that way you're not left with a bunch of water at the bottom of your skillet. That looks great. At the last minute, I just cranked up the heat to medium-high so that all the excess moisture would evaporate. And now I'm going to just put it in a shallow bowl here, just a little pan. And I'm going to pop this into the fridge to cool. You don't have to do that. I just want these to like cool down fast. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I will show you the next step. You want to make sure that these are quite cooled before you move on. So go do that. My eggplant has cooled. I've got the rest of my filling. We're going to put it all together. I also have my mandatory pre-dinner cup of coffee. If any of you are like me and you need that pre-dinner coffee, let me know down below. Everybody else thinks I'm crazy, but hey, we got to keep the show going, right? Couldn't function without it. Okay, for your filling, you're going to need Italian-style breadcrumbs. That just means they're Italian-seasoned breadcrumbs. Lots of garlic. I do a mixture of parsley and basil, a mixture of pecorino and parmigiano. If you don't want to spend money on pecorino, it's at the bottom, by the way. I do all parm. But here's a great tip. I don't buy pecorino often. So when I do, I buy it pre-grated and I buy small tubs of it. That way I use it up really fast because if I buy a big block, I won't use it in time. It'll go bad, right? So always do that. Then you need an egg and a little bit of flour and some salt. And those are all the ingredients you need to make the filling, and they are fantastic. Now, you can pretty much add whatever you want to this. If you wanted to add some grated onions, add some grated onions. If you wanted to, add whatever flavorings your heart desires, go for it. This, to me, is perfect, and they hold up really, really well when you cook them. Now, I bake mine. I don't fry mine. I also have 2 tablespoons of flour. It just sort of helps absorb any excess moisture. I bake mine. I don't fry. You could fry if you wanted to, but I do not. So the mixture is going to look really dry at first, but you're just going to give it a go and keep mixing it. And as you're mixing it, you're gonna just kind of like squish down on that eggplant. Just keep it mixing, because as these bake, they'll just hold up really nicely. Okay, now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just cover this with a plate, and I'm gonna pop it into the freezer for 10 minutes. That's just gonna to help with the texture. In the meantime, get your oven preheated to 375. Get a baking sheet, line it with parchment paper, drizzle it with some olive oil, set that aside. We're gonna chill these for a second, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so we are ready. Now what I need you to do is get a small bowl with some water, dampen your hands, clean hands, por favor, because you don't want this mixture to stick all over your hand. And then you're just going to form them into whatever size meatballs that you want. You can make them really small, you can make them a little bit bigger, you know, whatever your heart desires. And the water just kind of helps, like I said, nothing stick. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and bake them. That's why I have them on parchment paper with a little bit of oil. But you can absolutely fry these in a pan with some light olive oil, and just shallow fry until they're crispy on all sides. That's great. It gives you a lot of really good texture. It gives you a little bit of a crispy edge. You know, kind of trying to keep it a little lighter, considering there's a lot of breadcrumbs in here. I figured we would skip that part. But truly, they just become so delicious when you bake them and then you mix them into the sauce that they're delicious. They are delicious. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to form all of them. And then I'm going to brush the tops with just a little bit more oil. And I'm going to pop them into my oven at 375 for about 20 minutes. And in the meantime, we are going to make our very quick sauce that these are going to bathe in once they're ready. Okay, in the same skillet, we are just going to go ahead and make a really quick, delicious marinara sauce. You don't have to, by the way. You can just go ahead and use your very favorite marinara sauce, or you can use a store-bought sauce. Whatever you have on hand, you'll need about 4 cups. For me, when I have some really nice plum tomatoes, or whatever tomato product I like to use from a marinara sauce, it's just as easy making it myself if I've got the time anyway. So while those are cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and whip it up really quick. A little bit of olive oil and some garlic in the skillet. Wait for that to heat up together so that as the garlic heats up, it infuses its flavor into the oil. If you were to add garlic straight to hot oil, the garlic will sizzle and you won't really get all of that infused into the oil, all that flavor infused into the oil. When it infuses into the oil, it infuses into your entire sauce. That's it. So once this kind of comes to a little bit of a bubble here, I've got some plum tomatoes. This is just a can of San Marzano plum tomatoes. I added a little bit of water, kind of rinsed out the can and added it to it. And then you need some basil. I've got some olive oil. Well, I already added olive oil. Some salt. I'm also going to go ahead and grab a pinch of oregano. And once this gets going, we'll add the sauce. This is looking really good. Smelling good already. The eggplant's smelling good. The garlic's starting to sizzle. Okay, that one's got a little bit of skin on it. It's okay. Careful not to get splattered. Now, as this cooks down, as it starts to heat up the tomatoes, I'm going to go ahead and mash them up really nicely. You can use crushed tomatoes. You can use diced. You can use whatever your heart desires. By all means, do whatever you want and use whatever you've got on hand. So what I'm going to do now is just let this warm up a little bit. Like I said, as the tomatoes warm up, it'll be easier for me to cut, to chop them all up. Then I'll add my basil, my oregano, and some salt, and I'm going to let it simmer 20 minutes along with the eggplant. That's it. Sauce is ready. It's been bubbling for about 20 minutes. The eggplant meatballs are ready. They were in the oven 20 minutes, and look at the bottom of those. Gorgeous. Visually, I know they're not brown and crispy. Like I said, if you were to fry them, they would be. But these are going to nestle in the sauce. You only want to cook them in the sauce about 5 minutes. Otherwise, they start to fall apart, and you don't want to do that. That will defeat the purpose. Now, let me give you a tip, a couple tips. Save a few of the eggplant, because if you're a salad girl like me, these on a salad tomorrow, drizzled with like a tahini lemon situation, are phenomenal. You will absolutely love them. Let me tell you what else is really fantastic about these. You can turn them into meatball parm sandwiches, right? I'm going to just serve them like this tonight, but you can bet that I am most definitely, I like to just turn them once. Oh, I broke that one. I have some fresh mozzarella on hand, and I'm most definitely going to put some mozzarella on this and let it all melt together and be absolutely phenomenal. So I'm just going to spoon a little bit of the sauce on top, let these simmer 5 minutes, and then we give them a taste test. I need a spoon. Look at that. They look gorgeous. And when you make this, make sure that you make them in a non-stick skillet, because what happens is they can sometimes, I already ate one, they can sometimes stick to the bottom of the pan. And you don't want to do that because they're quite fragile, and they are so beautiful. They are so yummy. I'm just going to go ahead and taste one. And I bet you can fake out kids in eating one of these. See how they just stick together really well. There's chunks of eggplant. I know some people like to puree their eggplant when they make these. I don't, because I don't want to lose some of that chunky, some of those chunky pieces of eggplant. Otherwise it's too mushy. They are so delicious, but I'm going to tell you this. If you are a texture person, you need something crispy, fry them, shallow fry instead of baking them. Then you'll have the best of all worlds. I'm going to go ahead and put Parmesan cheese all over it, and then mozzarella, and serve it to the table, because that's what a good self-respected Italian does if she's got mozzarella in the fridge. You know what I'm saying? Go to laurenkitchen.com for the written recipe. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.